Alright, welcome back dudes. This is Sleekcraft Sunday, episode 13. In this episode we're going to show you how to finish installing the transom using some layers of fiberglass and woven roving for extra strength. We're also going to construct a completely 100% composite stringer out of all the Coosa board. What's cool about this is that I use the rest of this one board, so I have a whole board left over, which means I could do a whole other boat. And then we're also going to install the Transom Knees. This is going to transmit some of the force from the transom down into the tunnels, making this extremely strong and extra stiff. Right, Sarah? Okay, all right, let's do it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making a plan of this stringer, and the way I'm doing that is I'm just measuring from the transom and then putting, like, this is at 6 feet from the transom, so I put this at 6 feet and then hold the measuring tape underneath it to figure out the height. The top should stay flat, and then I'll just bevel it up, so I'm just going to measure it every foot or so to get the right curve. Alright, so now we're going to try cutting the Coosa. I wanted to talk about that a second. So they make these special carbide blades for jigsaws that have a really low TPI, or tooth per inch. I think it's, I don't know, I'm not going to guess right now because I'll inevitably guess wrong. But the point is you need something with a lower tooth count than something like a metal blade or a wood blade. So using that same logic, I'm going to be using, you know, a saw blade with fewer teeth. So we're going to go with a 28 tooth instead of a 60, and hopefully that cuts a little better. Check this out. Found out why the vacuum wasn't working so high. So since we were putting this transom in the dark, there are some parts of it that didn't turn out great, mainly this part. You kind of see it, it's just sticking up. And so I really don't want to grind this again because I'm so sick of grinding fiberglass. So I'm just going to see if I can cut it out with a utility knife, because we're going to be glassing a lot more stuff onto the tunnels here. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so now I'm going to fitter in the transom. I have gotten some additional thickening stuff for this resin. This is called COMPOSITE, and it's a Fumed Silica additive. You're supposed to mix this into the resin at 50% by volume, so literally half my cup is going to be this stuff. Before, in my last video, I was trying to use these white glass microspheres. They worked okay, but I mean, it was still really runny. So what I wound up doing when I was trying to put in the transom was I basically chopped up some fiberglass and threw that in there just to help give it a bit more texture. Ideally I wanted it like peanut butter, but I don't think I quite got there. But in any event, it was thick enough to stay on the transom securely. What I'm going to do now is just make some more chopped glass, just because this is a cheap way to make it stronger. And so before I do that, I'm just going to throw this on because it's not really a big deal. Alright, mask is on. And I'm not dying crazy. So I'm going to mix up another batch right now, and I'm going to use more of this Cabosil because that worked pretty awesome.
Is that thickening better than the other?
Yeah. Actually, do you want to come dump it in? Do you have a mask? So put a spoonful in.
How is this stuff different?
This is fumed silica.
Okay.
The other one were micro balloons. I don't really understand the difference. So I think those are hollow glass spheres. Silica is kind of like glass, which
powder almost, right?
Seems like it's probably the same thing to me, but maybe someone will tell me.
Isn't silica like its own?
Well, glass is silica, you know?
Yeah.
Silicate, you know,
Yeah.
like the stones that you can see through a little bit, right? So yeah, I don't really understand the difference because they both sound like tiny glass balls.
Well, this is definitely like light and powdery, whereas that felt like sugar versus powdered sugar. Like this stuff is like air. Like it's really.
Here, give me some more. I don't know how much that was. Hopefully it's enough. So I didn't quite finish, but yeah, we'll do more tomorrow. I have the whole day off, so this is what I'm doing. What'd you do on purpose?
This was at an angle, the way the Coosa had been cut previously, and I thought that you did that on purpose. So when I made these cuts, I didn't touch that. But might be a happy accident, or
yeah, we can use it on the port side, and it'll fit and conform a little bit to the tunnels, because these aren't going to be totally vertical. They're going to be like slightly angled.
Right.
The plan for these knee braces is to get them pretty much bonded to this surface right here, which is not vertical. It's kind of at like a, I don't know, 10-degree angle. Anyway, Sarah, check this out. So this is my stringer, and this is all cut from the leftover scrap. So with one piece of Coosa, one 4x8 sheet, I did 2 layers on the transom. I have enough for 2 partial knee braces, and I have enough to do a double stringer, pretty much like almost all the way to the front. It's actually going to go down to a single thickness once it's past the floor, which is fine because this stuff is so strong. And honestly, the core material isn't really what's providing the strength. It's the layer of glass. But the reason I wanted to double this up in the first place was just to have something wide enough that I could consistently screw the floor into it, because just hitting that would be a little challenging, right, if it was just one thickness. So it's basically going to be the thickness of one of these from the floor forward, which should be perfect.
I have more, like, from what I just cut, you might be able to get another layer or 2 out of that if you want.
I think this is good, dude. I think I'm going to label it, and then my plan is to build it here on the driveway and then trim it to fit, because otherwise I don't know how it's going to go. So, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, good job.
Now we have a layer of I forget what weight glass. Sarah's going to impregnate this glass with some resin and then hand it to me while I am laying down some resin on the transom. But first we want to get started on the stringer, because the stringer is going to be, I don't know, it's going to take a while to do. We're going to have to build it in sections. So let's do that first. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just paint the inside of the stringer here, slap these together, and throw some rocks on the top of it. Right here. Alright, so what I'm going to do right now is we've created a couple tabs here. One should go on the bottom of the hull here near the drain plug, and one's going to go on the side of the hull. And I've already put a bunch of resin on the hull itself, so basically just try to get rid of any voids. And this is just the first layer we're doing here. We're going to be doing a couple more layers of a lot stronger stuff. But I use the lighter weight fabric just because it conforms really well to irregular surfaces. First layer looks amazing. Oh yeah. What do you think, Sarah?
I'm pretty impressed.
No bubbles, no voids, looks good. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cut out a layer of the woven roving, and while that's getting cut out, we're going to make some resin and do another extension on this stringer, and then use that same resin for putting on the woven roving as the second layer on the transom. And that's all we're going to do on the transom, other than the knee braces and adding more tabs. But in terms of glass over the whole thing, it's just a layer of glass and a layer of woven roving. I think that'll be enough with the knees.
if I'm supposed
What do we need, Sarah?
We need 2 batches of resin.
All right, 2 batches. Hey Sarah, we're running out of daylight again.
Yay! It's our favorite. Layer number 2.
Woven roving, done. Alright, so this could be the end of the video depending on how much it rains tomorrow. So if we should do a
mosquito on your head.
So it is now Saturday and I'm outside just checking out this stringer. We are going to cut it to fit the bottom of the hull. I made this stringer out of 2 8-foot sections of Coosa. So there's 1 8-foot section here and 1 8-foot section here. And then I just bolstered up the other sides with some random scraps. So what's crazy about that is that means that 1 sheet of Coosa is enough to do a transom times 2, a whole stringer, and still have enough left over for knee braces and like the bulkheads and stuff. So it's because I have like a whole extra sheet, that means I could totally do a whole other boat. Alright, we have 3 minutes before a rainstorm and I need to get a couple measurements out of this so we can recreate this stringer. You okay there?
Yeah, I'm trying to gesture and I just threw it.
So we can recreate.
More rain.
Sun rain. Look at that coat. Hi, friend. He was probably like, what the heck?
Well, we just finished recording, or we just finished cutting the stringer, but we forgot to record it. So there it is. So now we're going to test fit the stringer in the boat, and every time it doesn't fit, we have to drink.
I don't like this man. But yeah, if it doesn't fit and we're messing it up and then we just drink, I feel like that's not gonna.
It'll be fine.
That's not gonna correct itself, you know.
Sarah says she's done listening to the drunk guy, and she's taken over now.
Yeah. Make actual straight lines and not just eyeball it with a jigsaw. Right where we stopped, just a little bit still. But otherwise, I think it's pretty good.
Well,
Look at that!
that feel pretty good?
Yeah.
Oh, that does feel pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little gap in some spots, but we're gonna fill that in with the
Yeah.
thickened epoxy, right?
Yep.
Or resin. suspect there.
It's a sexy stringer. So there it is. That is a fully composite stringer.
Stringer to be.
Yep. If that was made out of plywood, it would have weighed about 500 pounds more.
And then I wouldn't have helped with all of the back and forth probably.
I don't. It would have been a lot more. Not that much, but we are not going to have enough time to get the stringer in tonight. So we're going to throw the knees in real quick, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, let's do the knees. We can leave the stringer here. It doesn't even need it. So these are the transom knees. What this is going to do is any load that is pushing forward or pulling back on this transom is going to be transferred down this way into this tunnel. And instead of having this totally vertical like that, I actually want to kick it over at a little bit of an angle, just because this tunnel is at a little bit of an angle. And I realized that structurally this might even be stronger, but that is just a huge void because this is not a vertical wall. So we're just going to try to fit that one there and that one there. Before we do that, we're going to have to radius these corners to try to account for all this glass and resin right there, and then they should fit pretty nice. Yeah, that's going to fit great. All right, the knees are in. They look great. Next episode, we are going to glass the hell out of these things and install the stringer and possibly the floor. I don't know. We will see, but this is it for this episode. As you can see, it's getting dark out. I still need to edit everything and launch this thing tomorrow. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. Sleekcraft Sunday, next episode, definitely stringer, probably floor. What do you think? All right, cheers.